Pioneers of Pagonia is basically a Settlers reboot made by the original creator just without the original name, as the IP is still in Ubisoft's hands. But the name isn't important as the gameplay is, and that is exactly where the Settlers' new allies failed horribly and where I hope this game will shine. Going by what the developers have said and written so far, and by what little can be seen in the first gameplay footage of Pioneers of Pagonia, we are finally going to get all the hallmarks of the Settlers game wrapped in the familiar, colorful tones and styles of the originals, and by December of 2023 no less. First and foremost, the in-depth economy system and production chains, which are at the heart of every good Settlers game, will be made up of several dozen building types and almost 100 different commodities. In fact, every one of these buildings and production processes will be animated and the work done by thousands of Pagonians in front of your eyes. I know this isn't just a gameplay element most of you find crucial, but also a visual one. I am the first among you to stare for minutes at a time, enchanted by the detailed animations of collection, transportation and production of resources in such a game. If you have played anything like this recently that you enjoyed, tell me in the comments below. The developers of Pioneers of Pagonia want you to be fully engrossed in the gameplay and to be able to know the economic situation of your settlement, and by merely observing the stockpiles and transportation routes instead of staring at numbers in the user interface. Considering Pagonia is a world made up of many individual islands, each dotted with villages, you will have more to enjoy watching than just your own villagers at work. Now, of course, with so many different types of resources and commodities to transport in your settlement, logistics will certainly be a crucial part of gameplay, and that is where roads and several kinds of transport units will be used by players to keep everything supplied and running. These roads, as well as buildings, can be placed anywhere, at any angle, but hilly terrain will create some limits. Another system which will work in tandem with your local production and distribution is trade. And in Pioneers of Pagonia, we will have both the trading posts and trade carriers. The system is heavily dependent on exploration, which is another core concept of a Settlers game. As your explorers spread through the world of Pagonia and locate other settlements on their own islands, they will find these specific buildings, the trade centers, and there the information about the needs and offers of your neighbors. In a classic system of goodwill gestures and trust, you first have to do a task or two before you can start trading with these other villages. This is where the trade carriers come in as one of the few civilian type units, besides explorers and treasure hunters, which are able to leave your territory. They will go to those distant trade centers and exchange tradable commodities, which they will carry back to your settlement. This is where another system of Pioneers of Pagonia comes in: enemies and combat. While thieves are a domestic problem and will only steal commodities from your local production and transportation networks, the bandits will roam through neutral lands and attack your carriers or traders to plunder what goods they can. This is where your recruited and armed guards come in. When they catch a thief, they chase them away and all stolen goods are dropped to be returned safely to your stockpiles. But to tackle bandits which operate beyond your territory, where guards can't, you need soldiers. They can be set to patrol the lands outside your borders and defeat these masked intruders. Bandit camps can be demolished by your soldiers to retrieve some of the stolen goods. On the other hand, if left unopposed, the bandits will increase in numbers after each successful plundering. The thing about combat units like guards and soldiers, and all the other settlers in fact, is that there are no RTS-like controls for units. All of them are tied to buildings, their bases of operation, and there you have controls to tell them to expand your territory, guard a location, or hunt down enemies. Once they reach their target on any order, be that a patrol, scout, or engage task, they will automatically do their jobs. Guards, for example, will chase thieves away, but also, while being stationed in watchtowers, they will pick up boundary stones and expand your territory step by step, and you can choose which direction they will expand first. Soldiers will hunt down bandits, but hostile spirits and mythical creatures will put up a tougher fight, and you will need sorcerers to tackle those creatures. There will be a sort of a sword, spell, and claw system, which will balance these kinds of units and feature both strengths and weaknesses in individual matchups. The maps and the world in which all this happens on will be procedurally generated for infinite variations, and so offer new challenges every time you play. Of course, this isn't going to be a random procedural generation, but one directed by the system developers made to make sure each map layout and terrain distribution is properly filled with resources and locations for hostile and friendly inhabitants. On the more peaceful side of things, you will be able to enjoy watching your Pagonians catch herrings in the ocean and trout in lakes, while the trained hunter will pursue rabbits, wild boars, and deer. But the food supplies will not come just from animals. The forager can find different plants in the wild, and farmers will grow crops like wheat, corn, and flax, and vegetables like pumpkins and cabbages, and there will be a system of different land fertility. All of these goods will be harvested and delivered to future processing or market stalls. The cooks who work in taverns where residents eat meals will collect food ingredients from these market stalls based on suitability and availability. For the meals they prepare, ingredients with high nutrition value are preferred, like bread or boar meat, which is made for craftsmen doing heavy work like mining. Corn also goes to the market stalls, while wheat goes to the windmill for production of flour. Flax, which can be foraged or grown, will be carried to the weaver where it is used to make cloth and rope. Obviously, wheat is the main ingredient for baking bread, while you will have to mill it first, add water from a well, and use firewood to heat the oven of the bakery. I can still remember the bread making animations and production chains from Settlers 2 and 3, and that is such a lasting impression that no other game since has managed to beat. Feel free to share your fond memories of the Settlers franchise down in the comments. In order to preserve food for a longer period of time, fish and meat will be smoked at the provisioner. In combination with bread from the bakery, the cooks working at the provisioner will produce rations for civilian units, like explorers, to travel beyond your borders and use their skills elsewhere. As the game will first launch into early access on Steam in December of 2023, the developers plan to continue developing the tech tree for the single faction they have created so far, and give it a lot of flexibility and variety. This means even more production buildings, resources, and commodity production chains can be expected in the future. A co-op mode is also being planned, so we will be exploring the islands of Pagonia together. But do note, no campaign or multiplayer is planned so far. A closed alpha test was run in September of 2023, and the first public demo should see a release in early October of 2023, shortly before a Steam Next Fest. So I advise you wishlist and follow this game on Steam to get a notification once that demo goes live. This one you do not want to miss out on. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!